Hey guys, my name's Jose, and today I'm going to show you the top 5 websites I wish I knew about when I started investing. Before we start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to get info on new episodes and other videos. Also, don't forget to check out my website, josenajarro.com. All the information I post there is free, so check it out. So let's begin. Alright, so the websites I'm going to show you guys are not in any specific order. I find all these 5 websites to be extremely useful, and it just depends the type of person and investor you are. Some of these websites you might find more useful than the other. Alright guys, so the first website I'm going to show you guys is etfdb.com. etfdb.com is great to search for ETFs. For those that don't know what ETFs are, they're just a group of multiple stocks grouped together into one ticker. So instead of investing into one company, you're investing into multiple companies. I do believe this is one of the best ways for entry investors to start, because you're not putting your eggs all in one basket. You're putting into different companies at the same time. So here, what I use, if we go to ETF tools, I use what they call ETF stock exposure tool. So this is pretty simple. Here, let's say you want to invest in Apple, but you don't want to buy just Apple, and you only have X amount of money. So if you check Apple here, it'll give you the top ETFs that Apple is on. For example, it'll give you VGT. So if we take a look at VGT, it's telling us that 14.5% of this ticker is worth Apple. But that's not all it tells you. Once you click VGT, you'll be able to see its current price, its volume, its high, and even better, if you scroll all the way down, you can see its top holdings. You can see all its holdings. So we can see 14% is on Apple, 14% is on Microsoft, 4% is on Visa, 4% is on Intel, 4% is on Cisco. So here, instead of just investing in Apple, if you buy VGT, you invest in all these companies. So you can do this with any other company you want. Maybe you want to invest in, I don't know, let's take AMD. So if you want to invest in AMD, again, you would click AMD, and then they'll tell you all the websites, all the ETFs that have AMD and how much percentage they weigh. So for example, Expo, ESPO, they have 5% AMD, and then if we look closer into its holdings, we'll be able to see what else it holds. It holds Nvidia, EA, ATVI. So this is actually one of my favorite websites. So that's it for the first one. All right, guys. So the next website I'll show you is Finviz.com. So Finviz.com, I'll first show you guys how I use it and some of the features I know about. But there's obviously more stuff that I don't use that maybe you guys might be able to find out. So Finviz, the first thing, I use it for the news. Here it's updated pretty frequently. Right now it's 9:50, and we can see 9:39 are the latest news. 9:37, 9:34, and then if we hit here news, we'll be able to see more of the most recent stock news that affect the stock market. That's one of the reasons I use it. The next is we can see the futures. So here we have how the market looked throughout the day, but we can look at the futures, and here they have the indices, energy, soft metals, hard metals, grains, currencies, all posted here for how the futures are looking at the moment. Another way you guys can use this website is they have the most traded tickers, top gainers, new highs, overbought, unusual volumes, and if you click on them, you'll be able to see more top gainers, and they already draw some of the trend lines for you with upcoming news or most recent news for those selected tickers. Here we can also see insider trading. If we look at insiders, it gives you all the companies that have the most recent SEC forms. It tells you what type of transaction it was. Here we have some PayPal transactions, options exercised, and we can see what type of relationship the person has with the company. The CFO, if they sold, bought, option exercise, and you can eventually see more companies and just filter by them. You can do latest, top insiders, top 10% owners trading. Another way is looking at the map. So here I like looking at the map. It just gives you the overall look of how the market reacted today, and it tells you which sector went big. Here we can see Facebook and Google were the main ones to go green, while pretty much everybody else seems to be either red or dark red. We have UNH in the healthcare also do green, and this just gives you a different way to view it, and you can see it in different formats. Some people like to look at it as a map, which I do, but you can also look at it in bubbles. Finally, then here we have trend lines, wedges, so different technical analysis patterns. And if you click on this, for example, wedge down, it gives you all the companies that have that similar pattern at the moment. So it already does some of the technical analysis for you, and you guys can just go on and look at these stocks and see if you want to pursue a trade with them. That's it for number 2, Finviz. For number 3, I want to recommend Lazyfa.com. So Lazyfa.com is great for you fundamental analysis. It might not be that great for the technical analysis, guys. But here, let's take a look at Apple. If we put Apple and we're lazy, here it gives you all the income, all the numbers that are collected from the SEC websites, from the annual reports and the quarterly reports, and it posted and it shows it to you in an easy visual manner. You can see them in bar graphs, which I prefer, but you can also look at line charts. You can look at annual, quarterly data. In the income statement, we can look at everything from revenue, cost of revenue, and R&D expenses, cost of revenue expenses, earnings before income taxes. Then we can go to balance sheet. In the balance sheet, obviously the same thing, just for the balance sheet. We can see total assets, current assets, total liabilities, and we can see how the trend has been going throughout the past years. Same with cash flow, the cash flow statement sheet. And metrics, it also has some of the top metrics that you can find: price to earnings ratio, debt to equity ratio. So this is definitely a strong website for one to use. If you guys check out my website, I do plenty of videos using this website, and my episodes, I review a company in like less than 15 minutes. I know the ins and out of the company. Next, this also has chart machines where you can post different sections. You can put revenue, cost of revenue together to see how they behave with total assets and stuff like that. You can change the chart type to bar, again, quarterly, reset charts, and you can put anything in there. Then they also have Fin3D. Not a big fan at the moment of this, just because I think right now it's just a way to view things in a cool manner. We can see everything here. I might play around with this later on. But then we have red flag analysis. So this is great. Right here, when you get on the overview page, it tells you some of the red flags this company has. Once we go to the income statement, in the income statement, you see pretty much the same stuff we saw in the previous pages. But these you can't change: revenue versus cost, gross profit. And then if you go all the way to the bottom, you can see gross margin, profit margins, and you can see red flags. So here for Apple, this is giving us a red flag that says the average cost growth outweighs average revenue growth. So it's just telling us that cost of growth is growing faster than revenue growth. And then if you don't understand what the flag means, it gives you an explanation and some recommendation. So for example, these are just recommendations, but we can see here that everything seems to be at a 1-to-1 ratio. So even though this flag is triggering, it doesn't show anything real bad, because revenue is growing almost on a 1-to-1 ratio to cost. Another great thing we can see here is in the balance sheet. Again, we get to see total assets, liabilities. But here we get to see the distribution between the two. I use this a lot. I like to see how the assets are distributed, how liabilities are distributed, and how they've been behaving in the past year. Again, this also has red flags. And then once you click them, you can read exactly what they mean and what recommendations they have. So that would be number 3 for my favorite websites, Lazyfa.com. So I definitely recommend you check it out if you want to know the ins and out of a company, and you don't want to read the 80 pages of the 10Q report or the 10K report. Next, for number 4, we're gonna look at WhaleWisdom.com. So WhaleWisdom, this this you're able to find the top hedge fund managers and see how they're trading. For example, we can take a look at Warren Buffett. So if we take a look at Warren Buffett, we can see his latest. We want to actually see Berkshire Hathaway. And here we get to see the top buys that have been made in the past quarter, top sales, top holdings. We get to see all the holdings. And here, if we look at holdings, we're able to see how much shares they hold, previous percentage of portfolio, current percentage of portfolio, market value, how much change in shares compared to last quarter, the estimated average price paid, and last time this date was reported. So this is reported quarterly, just like earnings report, and it was just last reported about 2 weeks ago for the quarter ending in 12/31. So again, you can check out different hedge funds. For example, Ray Dalio. We can check out his I forget what his is called. Ray Dalio's Bridgewater. So we can take a look at Bridgewater Associates, and here we can look again what their biggest top buys are, their top sales, when it was last reported, and similar to that. We can also even check a specific stock, for example, Apple. We can check Apple, and we're able to see all the top fund managers that have actually bought Apple. Let's take a look and see if we can find it. So here it tells us all the 3,297 companies, that hedge funds that have Apple, and we can see here who's been selling Apple, who's been buying Apple, and stuff like that. So if you want to trade like the big guys, this is definitely the website to use. I'm pretty sure you can use this website in other manners, but those are the only ways I use it. So definitely recommend you guys checking it out. And finally, for the last website, this one's pretty simple, and I hope most of you guys know it. But for those that don't, the SEC website. This is where all the files actually get sent, and this is where all the previous websites are collecting their information. But sometimes there might be some lag, and if you just want to make sure there's nothing new going on, you can go to sec.gov and just check for a specific company. For example, right now, let's take a look at AMD. We take a look at AMD, and we can see any new reports they filed, when they filed, and what type of report it is. So the AK is just a report in some change in the company. You go to documents, check out the document, and here you're able to see what ended up happening and why did they make this report go live. So again, this one's pretty simple, but it's definitely helpful for you guys to see how the actual AK, 10Ks, 10Qs look and how they behave and how a company behaves with the types of documents they put in and how often they do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episodes. These 5 websites definitely helped me along, and they shaped me to the type of investor I am. So hopefully it helps you guys out. Definitely check them out. Take your time to get used to how you can use these websites for your gain. You got most of these, I think all these websites I showed you are free. They do have some paid service, but I do not use any of the paid services at the moment. I use them all for free, and they give me all the information that I need at the moment. So I definitely recommend you guys take a look at them, see how they can help you out and how they can help out your investing or trading. So like I said, don't forget guys to subscribe to get more videos like this. Next time I'll probably do a video on the top option websites I use for when I started learning options and stuff like that. So definitely subscribe. Check out my website, josenajarro.com, and follow me on Twitter _Jose Najarro. So again, see you guys next time.